Hello and welcome back to the A Cherry on Top YouTube channel. I'm Jessica, and today's video is part of our Technique Tuesday video series where we have different techniques that we will try out each month, and this month we are using embossing folders. This is one of those layouts where the idea for this page came together super quickly. I stacked up some of these papers together and just really liked how they looked, but I thought that they needed a little bit more dimension and texture, so I thought that using embossing folders for this would be perfect. Some of the embossing folders will fit sideways, so on that first page that I embossed, I was able to emboss it twice without ripping the paper. But then with my second strip of paper, I had to rip it 3 times to make it so I could emboss the whole sheet. And this page, I'm going with a more distressed look anyways, so I didn't mind having to rip it. Another thing when I am embossing that I like to do is to really bring out and show off the embossed image that I just embossed. One way of doing this is I take some ink and then use a dauber to lightly go over it, and I am just hitting the very top raised edge. And in doing this, you highlight the highest points. And I'll also do this just using metallic wax instead. I'll be using some wax from Prima, and it's the same idea, but I'm going to apply it with my finger, and I like doing this, especially with applying with my finger, when it's a really detailed or really small embossed image. So this has a lot of really fine detail in it that could easily get overlooked, but just going over it lightly just really brings it out. And I'll do multiple fine layers, like I'm not picking up much with my finger each time I pass through it, and just lightly layering it up until I get the look that I wanted. And I'm doing a lot of different distressing techniques on this page. I have a lot of ripped edges and distressed edges, and this is, I'm just going over some of the edges with some darker ink to help them stand out a little bit more. And now it's time to start adhering everything to my page. I am using some cherry foam tape. I love using foam tape with embossed images. I feel like it brings it out even more, and it doesn't squish the image. I try not to use too much wet glue when I'm embossing something. It's usually fine, but I just get worried about the wetness flattening it a little bit. So I like to use the foam tape or regular cherry tape as well. I love the tiny little shadow that you get when using foam tape. So I wanted to have some foam on each layer, but I didn't want my layout to be super crazy high. So I am being a little more strategic on where I'm putting my foam. So this one I had those 2 strips of foam tape on it because that's what's overlapping the edge, and then the rest I just flattened with wet glue. So it's still raised. It's on that first page that I used foam tape with, but it's not adding a ton more dimension to the page. Because I have like 5 layers of papers, if I added foam to each layer, this would just get too thick of a layout even for me. Now this layer with the ferns on it, I did want it to be a little bit higher, so I'm adding foam across it all, and then on the side where there isn't, where it will just be touching the back paper, I added 2 layers of foam, so it's still going to be flat across and the same height as everything else. Lately I've been going through older photos that I'm trying to scrap. This is actually a picture of my brother and I from a while ago when we were both young, and I think it's super cute. And this is one of my favorite things about scrapbooking is that this photo that I haven't seen in years, I can now display in my scrapbook. So I think that's really great. I added a piece of chipboard behind this photo so that it wouldn't warp at all. I've got a lot of dimensional pages on this piece, so I didn't want it to warp over time with all that. So just adding a piece of chipboard will just keep it at the right height and all flat forever. These great vintagey looking papers are from Tim Holtz Ideology, some of his new collection. And then my 12 by 12 background paper is a page from the Rustic Dreams from Memory Place, and it's part of a collection that just has a bunch of really great backgrounds. And now that that main part of my page is completed, I went into my stash and I'm looking for different ephemera pieces and phrases that I think will look cute on this page. I'm trying to keep it very outdoorsy and a pretty limited color palette. This title is from a Maggie Holmes sticker page, and then some of these little butterfly and flower embellishments are from 49 and Market. And then I'm doing the same thing with adding some layers of foam. I'm using the cherry foam dots, and then they needed a couple layers to be on the same level as the photo. Now I'm using some rubons from 49 and Market, and these rubons are quickly becoming one of my favorite products. There's like a bunch of different mixed media looks, or like this where I can just add a few little butterflies here and there. Here I'm adding one to a piece of vellum so I can cut it out and layer it more over my photo. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with them, and I just love the look of it. To finish embellishing this piece, I distressed some more edges and added a little bit of lace and some embellishments from my stash. I felt like this was a pretty quick and fun layout to put together, and I love that I was able to finally scrap this photo. Thanks for watching!